Hi everyone. Today I am going to show you how to make a card, a lovely thinking of you card using this Farm Fresh Flowers stamp set by Honeybee Stamps, which is part of Honeybee's 5th anniversary release that was just released in the past month or so. So let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to start by just positioning our stamp in our MISTI where we want it. And then we will apply some black memento ink and stamp it, get a good impression. And then we will place our vase right about where we want it. And we're not going to stamp it just yet. We're going to mask off those flowers before we go ahead and ink up our vase stamp, just so that we don't cross the lines, if you know what I'm saying. So now I'm going to stamp that vase, and then we can peel off the masking paper. And then as you see, we get this really nice pretty image of these flowers just sitting in a vase. And now we can color everything in with some Copic markers. So I thought it would be nice to have a metal vase for our flowers. So I'm going to use some toner grays for this. So I'm just going to color in the base with some T1, and then we will add the shading with some T7, T5, and T3 as well. So we're going to use those 4 different shades of toner gray. And I thought it would be fun to put a little texture on the vase. So we're going to add some little ridges into the vase on the sides. And to do that, I'm just going to leave some white space along the edges of those 2 little curved lines that are towards the middle, if you can see that. And then I'm just going to leave the center pretty light by applying my lightest shade there. And then we will darken up the edges with some toner gray 7, which is the darkest shade that we'll use, and then blend it in towards the center. And now we're really going to work on getting those little ridges in the center to show through. So we have a nice textured vase. And if you don't want the texture, you can just leave out those 2 little half crescents on the sides of the center of the vase, and then you'll just have a plain flat round vase. Now we'll color in the flowers. So for these little tulips, I thought we could use some R81, 83, 85, and 89, which is a real pretty pink rosy color. I thought it would be real nice for the tulips. The great thing about this stamp is that it has a lot of detail. And if you follow the detail, it'll let you know where to add in your darkest shades. So this is a good stamp if you want to start to try to figure out where the shading goes on different flowers and floral images, because all you need to do really is just follow the little lines that are sketched into the stamp. So we're going to have some pink tulips, and then we'll have some pretty yellowy orange sunflowers. And then we'll have some little like cranberry colored berries, and then some green leaves. And that's going to make up the color palette for our little flowers here. I don't know about you, but I have been really loving keeping fresh flowers at home during quarantine. I found that it just makes me happier when I'm sitting at my desk and working during the week if I have some pretty flowers to look at and to just kind of scent the room. So it's been my new ritual every week. I've been ordering flowers from a local florist for delivery. And one week I got some real pretty like white lilies and white roses. And then last week I got a bouquet of peonies and hydrangeas. Also some little lilies, and I'm just loving it. And this week I've ordered a bouquet of peonies, so those should arrive in a few days for me. So I'm really looking forward to that little bouquet of roses or flowers, pardon me. Okay, so let's get back to the coloring. So for the sunflowers, we're going to use Y21, YR24, Y27, and then some E99 for the darkest shades. And then there's this little sprig of, I thought it would be lilac, so I'm just coloring them in with some lilac shades, B60, 63, and 66. And then we'll start coloring in those little berries. And I'm going to use R53 and 56 for those. So I would love to hear from you in the comments if any of you have any little rituals or habits that you've developed during quarantine just to make the day go by nicer for you and for others. So if you have any little habits or little rituals that you want to share, it would be great if you could just post that in the comments. And maybe it can give some other people some ideas of things they can do to kind of brighten up days while we're still inside. Okay, let's get back to the coloring here. So I'm going to color in our leaves all with some G21, 24, 28, and then 29. I was thinking about maybe using 2 different shades for the leaves, but then decided to just color all these large leaves with the same color pattern. And then we're going to add some yellow green to the tinier leaves towards the back at the end. So I'm just adding the shading so that the centers are pretty light. The underside of the leaves are the darkest shade. And just going around the edges to brighten up the edges there. And then for that leaf, it has a big ridge in the center, so I just added some darkness down the center of that leaf. And then for these little guys, we're going to use some YG93 for the base, and then YG95, and then 99. So this yellow-green combination, it's a really, really good combination for leaves if you want your leaves to look really, really lifelike. It's a good shade. If you notice the G21, 24, 28, those are a little bit brighter. You're not really going to see those colors in life, so it looks a little more artificial. So if you're going for a more realistic look, then I think those YG90s are a good bet for that. All right, now we're going to add some background to our flowers, and I thought it'd be fun to have a little blue-green background that just kind of fades into nothingness. So to do that, I'm just going to apply the color darkest on the edges and then have it sort of just fade out into nothing. And then we're going to put some little wood slats underneath our little floral vase. I thought it would be nice to suggest that it's sitting on a table that is made of some little planks. So I'm just going to add the lines just so, and then add a little bit of shading. These little lines that kind of start from either end of the panel and then meet towards the middle. And I'm just going really, really lightly here just to give a hint of texture. Don't need to overdo it so much. And then for the back row, I thought just add some little, at first I thought maybe they're like nails in the plank, but who knows, maybe they're just like a little decoration, but just something to kind of break up the foreground from the background. And then we'll put a little shadow underneath our flowers. And I'm just going to use some cool grays for that. And then I'll just darken it a little bit with my C5 right underneath the vase. And now I've put everything into my MISTI, and we can stamp our sentiment. The sentiment says "Hello Friend," and we're going to stamp it with some black VersaFine ink. This sentiment is also part of the Farm Fresh Flower stamp set by Honeybee Stamps. And I'm just going to make sure I get a good impression there. And then we'll attach the whole panel to an A2 size card base. And then that completes the card. And I love this card. It's nice and simple. It's a single layer, so you should be able to mail it using just one stamp. And that's all I have for you today, everyone. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I really hope you give this card project a try. It's a lot of fun to do, and will definitely brighten up the day of anyone that you send it to. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you again in another video.